right.
All right.
Recording?
Welcome. Yeah, we're on. We're live, and I want to say thanks for joining us for Brews with Dupes. Tonight, we're honored to have Jack Taylor with us from Enfield High School. He's in the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame, and we always try to get Chief, and Chief obliges. We always ask him, hey, tell us about who the best pitcher was. Who was your best nine and this and that, and we haven't gotten that far. But whenever we talk about best pitchers, the name Jack Taylor was the first one that came from him. And everybody's got their own eras, and everybody people who played with you would back that right up. Like I'm from the Brad Tweedley era, so obviously we all know the story. But I think that's incredibly high praise for somebody who coached as long as he has, and he was a hell of a player, so he knows what the hell a great pitcher
I know.
like, right?
Yeah. First, all I can remember him. Well, not all I can remember him doing, but it was kind of funny. You realize he was only probably 8-10 years at the most older than I am.
Right.
Now that seems like nothing, but back there it was a huge thing, And he used to try to get out there and throw a ball, and all I know is he'd throw his ball and he'd grab his elbow.
Yep. Yeah, he had blown that arm out, even prior to being with you guys, and then that was it. But he still had the piss and vinegar inside, I think, where he wanted to still compete, right?
Oh yeah, he always did. Always did.
Jack, I know during your era, maybe obviously everybody changes, but he didn't want to throw BP. He said he always hated when the coach or anybody would ask him to throw BP because that would mean he'd have to give up hits. Do you ever feel like that if you had to throw BP to guys that would piss you off because you'd let them hit you?
No, well, not really.
Yeah.
No, back when I was at, well, what is kind of funny though, when I got to University of Maine, it was a coach there.
Yep.
I was head varsity JV coach, but I was also the third base coach and a pitching coach for the varsity. And I'd throw batting practice, before the games, And I thought batting practice, you guys are trying to hit something good, you know what I mean? Well, I had guys complaining that to me, said, don't throw all that stuff. I'm just trying to work out my swing. I don't want to just have some stuff all the way through. Anyways, so that kind of does remind me of that,
Yeah, that's
learn that.
Right, as a hitter, from the hitting perspective, you just want lollipops so you can hit and get
confident
and all that. And I always remember that Brumage talking about that he hated doing that. I'm not going to put it on a silver platter for you, and that was the kind of competitor he was, and I feel like I can understand that from some level. But Jack, tell us.
What you said something. I remember this that really when we were there a couple of years ago, and when somebody asked him, if you had to get one guy out,
that's right.
Who would you use? He said me.
That's right.
And I think that was one of the biggest compliments, if not the biggest one I've ever had. Because I had no idea that.
Sure.
I know other guys that pitched. They had great stuff and good stuff, and they were great. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I really didn't. That was surprising to me.
Yep.
But I really appreciate it. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, and that's amazing, and it makes me think. A lot of these things that have happened with us as guys happen because we have this game, and that's really Brian Riley and all the ideas he has, and the fact that we got to know each other, and you got to be with Bob again, and you got to hear those words, right? That's really that's amazing.
Yeah, it really was. But that was when he said that, I was just I was amazed.
Yeah,
because I was like me.
Sure.
And it was amazing. That was probably one of the most, if not the nicest things anybody ever said. Because I just didn't think I was that good. But, got people out. But we didn't have that good of we had a good sophomore season, but we didn't have that good of a senior season. But I'm still trying to look for, because I'm trying to think of unusual things that happened.
Yep.
My senior year, we didn't make the tournament. Because I think we were like I don't know. We just barely over 500, something like that.
Yep.
So Fermi, we played Fermi the first game ever against Fermi, and they did make the tournament,
Wow.
but we got to play them at the end of the year. First time it's ever happened. We had probably had 4,000 people at the game. We played it over at Fermi, and it was really pretty cool.
Yep.
I think I'm trying to find some stuff on it because I think we won 4-2.
Okay.
But I remember I was pitching and it got to be about seventh or eighth inning. That's when we played 9 innings.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff happens. I've come to conclusion in the last 2 innings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're playing them, and it was kind of funny. And so I was pitching anyways, and for some reason, I mean, I just didn't pitch that well, and I was just getting guys out. Luckily, really, and I couldn't get a curveball over or stuff like that, and that was unusual, or it wasn't working well. So all of a sudden, I remember, I think it was the 8th or 9th inning. Do you remember J.T. Kaz?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he was in my same class, but he went to Fermi.
Yep.
You know, and he always hit me pretty well, you know, and I couldn't get a curveball over, so I just started throwing fastballs as hard as I could, and they went hard, they went fast, and I was like, this is something wrong with this picture, because I think it was Larry Avery wrote the Journal Inquirer or something that I was throwing heat or something like that. I said, that's the only time anybody has ever said that. And I mean, so I didn't throw another curveball for the rest of the last 2 innings, and we won 4-2. But it was cool.
And that was the first time Enfield and Fermi played baseball.
Yeah. Yep. And it was at Fermi's field too.
Yep.
You know, it was at Fermi's field, and it was Gene Reisig was Fermi's. No, wait a minute. I think he was Fermi's coach, but see, I had him as a JV coach too.
Okay.
At Enfield.
Yeah,
know?
and then I think he left and took Fermi over when Fermi
I think
opened.
So.
Yeah,
I think so. I think he did.
that makes sense. I think he was their first coach. I know maybe Bob Kelleher was involved too, but I'm not real sure about that. I think it might have been Gene right from the get-go.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, can you remember Fermi's field back then? I think behind the field in center, there was a hill there that people would sit on. In that game, you said there was a lot of people. Was there people sitting in center field on the hill there?
Yeah, a little bit, but they're more along the lines. I'm trying to think.
Sure.
It was right off the parking lot. It seemed like.
Yep, same. I think
Wasn't
same
very
spot.
far. I don't remember a big hill behind the center field, but
Yeah, more like a lump. Now it's got trees and a fence. It's all grown in.
oh, okay.
But I think when it first opened, there wasn't any of that foliage there. There wasn't I don't think there was a fence. Do you remember there being a fence in center?
Oh yeah, they had a fence. Everybody
Okay,
had
it
a
was.
fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
maybe I think maybe they sat on the other side of it or whatever. But it's just funny to think
I don't
about.
know. It's a lot of years.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have another game that you can remember that was really something to be a part of at Enfield High? And now that we're talking about your high school career, playing Fermi first time ever, that's a big one. But is there another
Yeah,
game that
that's
comes to
pretty
mind?
cool.
Do you have a big game, a no-hitter, something like that, Jack?
Probably the biggest one was, see, you were asking me too, that I play, when I saw the record, Wilfred Medino has like 30 wins. I can't even comprehend that.
Yep. It's unbelievable.
Well, the way it was structured then too, it was 1 through 6th grade, and then it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Got it.
And that was like a junior school. So 7th, and we were at Kosciuszko.
Yep.
And we were there, and then from there, we went to the high school.
Okay.
To Enfield, and I think if I remember right, my class was the first class that split, because we had like 700 kids in our class.
Wow.
And so they just built a new high school, so we're splitting everything. But the people at Fermi, if they wanted to go to Enfield High, they could do that.
Sure.
Like people like Richie Fenton, and do you remember him?
No. Oh yeah, wait a minute. He ended up becoming an administrator. He taught in Enfield, I'm pretty sure. He's in the Hall of Fame. Is that the same guy I'm thinking? Maybe a
I don't
different
know if
guy.
he is or not. I thought he went to Rhode Island and in Rhode Island. I forget.
Okay.
But anyways, it was kind of interesting that, um, you know, it was two separate, but they had the choice of coming to our place. So Richie Fenn, another guy by the name of Walt Kakula,
Yep.
something like that. He came to Enfield High, which made us stronger,
Yep.
you know. But when we played them in that game, yeah, that was certainly pretty cool. Probably the biggest game was when I was talking about that. So it's seventh, eighth, and ninth grade.
Yep.
At one place, and then you go over to the high school, and it's sophomore, junior, and senior. So it was a little bit different.
Okay.
And I never pitched for the high school until junior year,
Sure.
and that was pretty cool. We were in the CDC league,
Okay.
which it was all the bigger schools. I mean, but we traveled like to New Britain, to New London,
Yep.
to Fitch. There were three Hartford schools, if I remember right.
Okay.
And yeah, anyways, we played New London, our first game at New London, and I pitched. That was the first game I pitched in high school,
Yep.
and we won like I don't know 3-1, something like that. And I mean, it was crazy. I mean, we were going crazy in the bus on the way back. There was people like crawling up on top of the storage places and everything.
Sure.
And Brumage loved it, you know. But I think we played only 8 innings because it started to sleet and hail.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But that was probably one of the coolest things.
That's
It
outstanding.
was. Probably one of the other things which happened in that same year was kind of good because we started off like 3, 4, 5, you know, something like that, and then we went to play Weaver. Weaver's not. Are they still there yet now?
They
Weaver?
are. They're still a school, but they're very weak in terms of baseball participation and that kind of thing. They're struggling, but they're good at other sports, you know. But they're still around. They're still a school.
Basketball then too.
Yep.
Pretty good football, but they weren't good at baseball either.
Right.
But we were like, I don't know, didn't think we lost any games, and we went to play Weaver, okay?
Yep.
And they weren't very good.
Sure.
They beat us.
Yep.
And Brumage, he went nuts. I mean, it was so funny. It was a Friday, I think, and we practiced Saturday all day long.
Yep.
And I gotta admit, we were probably a little cocky or something like after those first few games. But you know, it happens, and it was a eye opener. So we played well for the rest of the year. Did make the tournament, so that was kind of cool. But
Yeah,
I don't remember the story. He said, I think it was our first game was against Amity. I think it was.
Yep.
I remember he kids about it. He told a story there where it was like the last inning, and all of a sudden we were ahead, and all of a sudden there's 2, 3 guys on in the 9th inning. And Brumage came out and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I just had to give the crowd the money's worth. It's all right." And I got the next 1 or 2 guys out, so that was kind of cool. But I don't really remember him speaking about that because I certainly didn't feel like that.
Yeah. That's
but
great.
One of the other things, the best things he ever taught me was, he said, you get in a situation like that, just always remember the batter has more pressure on you than you're as the pitcher.
Yep.
Because there's less of a chance he's going to get a hit than you're going to get him out.
That's
so that
great.
always helped too.
Yeah, that's a great comment. That's very true. A lot of pressure, I think, on the batter. At least I could, you know, speaking from my own perspective on that. So I think that's
yeah.
So talk a little bit about the recruiting process. I mean, you know, you started at Maine, right? And then
I went to UConn.
You went to UConn. No, UMaine.
No, that's why I went to coach after.
Okay, and that's what I'm getting confused with. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So how did that process go for you? You know, when did you start getting some attention or some looks? How did that go then?
I don't know, my senior year, I guess.
Yep.
You know, probably it's kind of all luckily stuff, you know. Then back there, UConn didn't even have scholarships.
Yep.
But what they did is they get you a job.
Okay.
And, the job was like in the laundry or
Sure.
something like that, the football games. And it was pretty easy, but that's how they got you money. So it was good.
So before we talk a little bit about UConn and just some of the things that you did there, do you have a favorite level or a time where baseball was your favorite time? For some guys it's their high school career. For other guys it's college. For other guys it's little league. They just loved the dynamic, or there wasn't as much pressure. I played a little more freely. Did you have a favorite time?
Well, yes, probably. I don't know. That's hard to think. It's like certain years probably,
Yep.
because the years in high school were great. 50% of the years at UConn were great.
Okay.
Afterwards, playing some professional baseball, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
As you look back on it, sometimes it wasn't very fun.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different environment. It really was. And then Little League, I don't know. It was Little League and then the Senior League. But you mentioned too about influential people. I hate this to ever go, not saying, but probably Bill Coop was probably just behind maybe Bromage or something in terms of most influential. Because it was kind of funny. I remember our team was Holy Name or Holy Family.
Yes, sir.
I forget which one. And I did play when I was 9 with him, and then played 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I never started pitching there till I think I was 12.
Sure.
And we won all the games, and it was pretty good. But then it was kind of funny, and I guess I took for granted stuff like that happening because they had a draft.
Yep.
And they drafted anyways, he decided to go to be a coach in Senior League. We played Senior League. It was 13, 14, and 15.
Yep.
And he decided to become a coach in Senior League. And for some reason, I don't know how he got this, but he got the worst team, okay? But also meant he got the first pick.
Yep.
So he picked me first, which was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the other thing he did, which was smart, I hired a guy, what was his first name, but his last name was Fremantle.
Okay.
And he hired him as his assistant coach, but that son, Fremantle, was just as good as I was, better than hitting, but probably not as good as pitching. So he kind of gauged that way to have a couple of really good players on his team. And I mean, we got beaten up bad at 13. We were at 13, but then we were undefeated in 14 and 15.
Nice.
So it was kind of cool. And I can remember him saying to me one time, it was like when I was 15, and I was just bored. It's just boring.
Sure.
And we won a couple games, but I was just bored. And he came to me. He just said, "What are you doing out there?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're really not acting like yourself." He said, "You don't have any enthusiasm, whatever." And I said, "Yeah, I don't." He says, "Well, you really need to." And that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
I almost got thrown out by the umpire, by the way, but I had a little bit too much enthusiasm.
Yeah, I was going to say, you came alive. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But then we won, so it was an 8.
Yeah, you made a comment, Jack, that I thought really resonated with me just a moment ago. You talked about how professional baseball, which obviously is every boy's dream,
Sure,
that never plays the game. But you said something very powerful, and I think I can agree with it, even though I never got a shot. But you said it wasn't very fun all the time, but it was a great experience. And I do feel like the higher you go into the clouds, the thinner the air gets. The closer you get to the closer you get to the peak of the mountain, it's a struggle. It's a grind. And so I don't know. Talk a little bit about that. You had a great career at UConn. We saw the articles. The bagels, the goose eggs article, 0.0 ERA. Like, that's awesome stuff. So how did how did the scouting process work for you? You know,
I didn't get drafted or anything.
okay.
That was another thing Brummage mentioned, and this is kind of funny because he made a comment a couple summers ago when we were together about, Bill Teed was one of the scouts, sort of a scout,
Yes.
but his brother was a scout for the Phillies.
Yep.
And he made a comment, and Brummage says something like, well, he just gets guys out or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I had thought for years that Mr. Brummage knew something that I didn't know,
Yep.
but he didn't. But he was just saying, I just kept getting people out, but I didn't throw hard,
Yep.
but I had a really good curveball and had good control.
Yep.
So I didn't get looked at a whole lot, but just looked at. So actually, I got out of got done with high school, and somebody, I think it was Baylock. Andy Baylock's the guy who recruited me from Connecticut. Okay,
Yep.
and so when I got done, he got me. I didn't get drafted. I wasn't in the draft thing. So there's a League of Canada. So I go up to Canada, New Brunswick, that area, and that's crazy up there. I mean, they fight in baseball like they fight in hockey. I mean, it's just, and then they go out and I remember the Miramichi River and just get hammered and
Yep.
fish. You know what I mean? It's a different culture, but it's fun. Great guys. But after about 2 weeks there, I think my dad called me and said, you need to get home because the Phillies want to sign you. I said, okay, sounds great. So I drove home, and then they signed me. The Orioles wanted to sign me too, but probably the difference was that the Orioles were going to send me to a rookie league.
Yep.
And the Phillies were going to send me to one of their top A leagues.
Got it.
So that made all the difference.
Yep.
I went with them. And probably the biggest surprise, though, I had when I went was how big everybody was.
Yes.
I mean, and I remember it's, different places had different way they saw talent.
Yep.
And you could see the Phillies drafted big people, big pitchers who throw hard. It's kind of their motto, and a lot of Latino players.
Yep.
And everybody drafted different. So I was kind of surprised that they asked me to play with them. So, anyways, I did. But the guys were huge. I mean, not just the pitchers. I mean, it's like all these guys played football in high school too, and they were good. And
so, Jack, in your travels in the minors, did you have a teammate or an opponent that was a big time, somebody of notoriety that made it all the way to the top?
Yeah, I was going to say my claim to fame was my first roommate was a guy by the name of Joe Charbonneau.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if anybody remembers him, but he was Rookie of the Year in 1980 with the Indians. But him and I actually got to Spartanburg. We started with Spartanburg Phillies at the same exact time.
Yep.
And he was crazy. Actually, did you remember him by chance?
I have his baseball card.
Oh, you do?
When I was a little boy, yeah, absolutely. Yep, I remember Indians, the whole thing. Yep.
Oh, yeah, me too. Anyway, so he got released the same time I got released, but he re-signed. But I think it was the Twins. And then he got changed to the Indians, and he had that great year. And I still keep in touch with him because he's probably the craziest person I've ever known. I mean, just read his book. There's a book called Super Joe.
Oh, that's awesome.
1980. And he had just one great year.
And so when you say he was crazy, was it just like this competitive edge? Was he just a space shot? Like, sometimes that's what makes people great.
He was nuts. He used to reposition his nose with a pair of pliers. He was a former boxer. He used to eat eggs whole, shell and all. I mean, just all kinds of crazy things like that. He was amazing. But, the greatest guy you could know. Greatest guy you could know at all, for sure.
Did you have a favorite game or a favorite moment in your minor league career? Just something that you'll always remember, or playing in front of a big crowd?
The crowd. The crowds weren't big. Some of the crowds were big, different times. But I can remember, one day And it really is weird. I mean, you just, I was signed as a relief pitcher, and you can have bad games and good games. It's not like college or high school where most of the games are going to be good, but
Yeah.
it just takes one pitch and these guys hit it over the fence. But a couple different things. I actually met the team because it was a whole season long. I met the team in Charleston, South Carolina, and we were playing the Charleston Pirates, and they had Yogi Berra's son on his team, Dale Berra. And they had a couple other good people, and then they had a guy by the name of Ronnie Robinson. I don't know if you remember him, but he pitched in the World Series. He pitched in the World Series with the Giants and stuff. It was pretty good.
Wow.
Well, he's actually from right around here where I'm living now.
Okay.
So he's kind of a living legend. But yeah, there was one game where I don't know. Our manager was Lee Elia. I don't know if you remember him.
No.
But the best way to explain to him, go to just Lee Elia rant.
Okay.
It was when he was a manager with the Cubs, and they're supposed to have a good team. Well, he got off to a bad start.
Yep.
And they used to interview everybody after the game, but it was ESPN just starting. You know what I mean? Just starting.
Yep.
So they got beat. Well, he goes on to his press conference and he starts ragging. I mean, MU this, MU the mother this, the mother that. He is just beating up the whole town of Chicago and the players and for 4 or 5 minutes. And I mean, you really need to listen. Everybody knows in baseball, just listen to it because that's what it was sort of like. He was a tough guy, kind of a manager. I think he played with the Phillies even, but he was also kind of more of a football coach.
Sure.
But he used to love to get up in umpires' faces, and he used to dip.
Oh,
well, that stuff would start spraying out of the umpire's face. But he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he was pretty good. But the best game I can remember, for then was I was in relief. This one guy, I still remember his name, was Ricky Burdett. He was from Georgia. But he started the game, it was against the Greenwood Braves. And he was getting hit. He just got hit for a couple runs. So all of a sudden, I was usually middle or short relief. But I don't know why. So he tells me to get up in the bullpen. So next thing you know, I'm in the game.
Just like
and
that.
I pitched, huh?
Just like that. Yeah. Just threw you right into the fire.
Yeah, we're in there, and we're down 2-0 right off the bat.
Sure.
So anyways, I pitched, and I pitched the rest of the game.
Damn.
And we won 4-2.
Nice.
And it was a day in Spartanburg, South Carolina. If you can imagine what that's like in the summer. It was a Sunday afternoon game where it had to be 95 degrees. There was kind of a mist over the field, although the sun was out.
Okay.
And you just got drained. Dude. But I can remember you stuff to talk about minor league baseball. We had the classic guy. His name was Charlie. He was the bus driver. He was the athletic trainer. He washed the clothes and about anything else you wanted to do. But he could be awfully not very nice to you either. if you did something to bother him, next thing you know, your uniforms weren't clean for you. He might not have polished your spikes.
Yep.
Just a lot of stuff he's supposed to do every day. He didn't. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But kind of classic.
And I love that because that's truly what the minor league experience was. And it's not like that anymore. I'm not saying it's any picnic. These guys still travel large distances, but we played at the Hartford Yard Goats Stadium. The high school team did, and I'm one of the coaches, and we got to hit in their cage and be at the complex. You could have told me that I had died, and that's heaven. And Jack, if you saw it and what the experience was like for you, it's these guys in the minor leagues now, to me, it's like, they've got marketing teams. And it might as well be, it was better than the big leagues was probably in the 60s and 70s is my
Oh
guess,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that's why when people hear these horror stories about the minors, I mean, that's really what it was, wasn't it? I mean, even
Oh
Brad
yeah.
in the 80s or in the 90s playing
Yep.
minors said it
We
was,
had a
you
lot
know,
of guys. Everybody, a lot of teams chartered buses, but for some reason we had a Philadelphia Philly bus,
okay.
but said Spartanburg Phillies on it. So that was ours.
Yep.
But it had to be from the 1920s or something like that, because one day we were going to Asheville and it couldn't get up the freaking hill. It could not get out of the hill, and we had to all get out.
Holy shit.
And walk up the hill and hope that the bus gets up the hill. But that's the kind of stuff you dealt with. That I still remember the Greenwood Braves. They were in Greenwood, Atlanta, Georgia, wherever that is.
Sure.
Hell, the locker rooms are, these folding chairs you sit in. That's it for the visitors, at least.
Nothing. Yep.
Now the cool thing though was the Spartanburg team. It was called Duncan Field, and it was built though kind of like a major league stadium, where you've got the dugouts underneath and everything, and you go back and there's a locker room in the back too. But I keep remembering, man, that place wasn't air conditioned, and for some reason we got through it, But the field was all enclosed, and it was really kind of nice. It was old, but it was nice.
Sure.
It's kind of like if you watch the Bull Durham movie.
Yes.
Kind of same thing like that.
Yep.
Travel a lot of buses. Well, it's all buses.
Yeah, and I would imagine, you just described a field with personality, and I feel like baseball stadiums or parks, that's really the ones that stick in your mind or in your heart. Those old parks, and even though it was hard to travel, I'm sure those memories are really fond for you. The fact that you made it that far, that's great stuff.
Yeah, it was different because I actually played in two leagues: the Western Carolina League and the Carolina League, and in each league there was only 4 teams.
Yep.
So you played most of your games against the 4 teams in your league.
Yep.
But you also played some games against the other league.
Okay.
So even though we're in the Western Carolina League, we're still playing teams in the Carolina League. Okay. And that was different because you definitely had different people there. Just the way they played the game, it was just one level up. I mean, it's called the Peninsula Pilots.
Okay.
The Phillies organization. It was only one level up, but it was such a different thing.
Got it.
And I remember we got, God, it's hard to say. I want to say we got like $11 a day meal money.
Yep.
But it was good. It was all fine for us usually, but you don't get food or anything after the games or anything like that. It's totally different.
Wow.
And the fields, you get on some fields which are really nice. Then you get on some fields that are terrible.
Yep.
I mean, terrible, like the Greenwood team. But then again, we play the Winston-Salem Red Sox, and they had a great field. So it just varies all the time.
Sure. So then post, what happens? You get released, you get caught. What was that? That's just the way it happened.
Heck, all you do, you just get a letter in the mail says you're unconditionally released. A check there.
Yep.
So I had a choice then, because originally the Orioles wanted to sign me too, and I thought about going with them.
Sure.
Again, but then I got an offer to coach the assistant baseball coach up in Maine, who always had a good team.
Yes.
So I took that and was there for 3 years.
Great.
And I still wanted to play, though. It was kind of interesting. It was almost too soon to take a coaching job.
Yep.
Because I still wanted to play, and I realized that. But anyways, I took that and worked there for 3 years. And we had good teams there.
Sure.
We did.
And so, Jack, you were one of the assistant coaches there. Talk about what it was like to, did you have another job on campus? How did you make that work?
I took I took graduate school, which didn't cost me anything.
Great.
And I was a assistant varsity coach, third base coach, and pitching coach,
Okay.
and then the full JV coach.
Okay.
And that was it was the first time I ever got thrown out of a game. Was when not the first time, but we were playing. This is in Maine. We were playing Rhode Island, and we were just getting. I just thought we were getting screwed, and I don't know. I got an argument. The umpire threw me out of the game.
So
But it was cold, so
Oh,
it was just fine to go back in the bus.
And were you at home at Orono, or were you playing in Rhode Island? It doesn't matter. It's cold in both places, but I'd imagine at Orono, my God.
Oh yeah, we were in Orna. No, we were in Rhode Island. Where are they playing Rhode Island? I can't remember, but yeah, we were in Rhode Island.
Okay.
You know, but it was interesting. I mean, our southern trips for Maine were great. Our first two southern trips were to Florida.
Yep.
And
Beautiful.
like around Miami and that.
Wow.
And just beautiful. That was fun. That was really fun. Then our third year, we actually went out to California to play in the Riverside tournament, and we won it.
Wow.
And that was the most bizarre thing, because nobody expects a team from the East to win that.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's funny you say that, and I still think there is still a separation between the SEC and the Pac-12, and I mean they just have the weather, right? They're just built that way. But I think Connecticut, to talk about your alma mater, they've done an amazing job. They've built a national level program for baseball. They really have.
It sure seems like it, yeah. Last time I was back too, I went up there, and beautiful practice facility.
Yep.
Indoors and stuff. It's just it's fun. It's funny how the culture is changed. I don't know what happens there now, but I can remember being a freshman in UConn, and man, we took our southern trip. I think we only had 2 freshmen on a southern trip.
Yep.
To Florida then too. But we had to carry everybody's bags.
Jesus, yeah.
I mean, we took the brunt of everything bad then.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I think the times have changed on that too. With hazing and all. There'd be a lawsuit now if you made a freshman carry the bucket or whatever. So
you probably would. Yeah.
We've coaching at Enfield High with Jay Goucher. We have team jobs, and you really do have to be aware of that, making sure the freshmen don't get piled on and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hang on for 1 second, okay?
Yeah, you got it, Jack.
Huh?
No worries. Go ahead.
I just need to get a refreshment.
You got it, brother. Help yourself. Gentlemen, while we're waiting for Jack, just stay tuned to the Powder Hollow page, because there's going to be plenty of news. We're going to try to be playing a ball game here. We don't know what's going to happen with the world and the country, but I just want to let you guys know that behind the scenes we're trying to figure things out and make things happen. So I'm sure Brian is going to post really soon, just get some funds going and try to have a game. But obviously that's going to depend on what the rules are, and Connecticut is really locking down. So Jack, I was just telling everybody about how the game this summer in August, we're going to try our best, but it's all going to depend on what's going on in the country and what the rules are. I mean, heck, the big leaguers aren't playing. The minor leagues, it's looking like they're going to cancel their season.
Oh, really?
I was reading a few articles about that, and obviously I follow it a little closer because I have the yard goats maybe 3 minutes, 5 miles from here. And so I try to bring my girls over there a couple times a year. And I mean, I love that ballpark. So I'm really hoping, but it's just not looking.
Was that the one in Hartford?
It is. Yeah. It's just built in the last 5 years. And
I've heard it's beautiful.
It really is. It is, Jack. It's unbelievable. It's shocking. It's just, it's just amazing. Everybody had their doubts about it. It's like, man, they're going to plop this right in the center, right outside of downtown. And it's actually a great location. It's not really what people thought it was going to be. You can get there easy. You can get out of there easy. It's safe. And the field itself is, I don't know. We played on it last year, and I know it's a dream. It's flat as a pancake, just crazy. Very nice.
Yeah. Hey, before I forget about it, Mark,
Yeah.
congratulations to you to making the Enfield Athletic Hall of Fame.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to ask you what that was like for you. What was your experience when you found out? I mean, you had a great career. You made to the minor leagues. You could count on one hand how many of us out of EHS did that, and you're one of them. So what was that like, though? How did that feel?
I don't know. It was sort of anticlimactic,
Yeah,
sort of, I guess. I didn't really know a whole lot of people.
sure.
So a couple of my good friends came back there, but it was okay. It was nice. But the baseball one was even better.
That's great. Yeah,
It just was.
yeah. That makes me feel great to hear that because Brian worked really hard to and honestly he's gonna have his own episode. I have a lot of questions for him, even though I've been his right hand man. I still don't know the method to his madness, but I do feel that he's trying to preserve the memory of all that has been done as a historian. He's trying to be a historian, and I think he's done that, and he's
Who's that?
honored. He's being a historian, Brian Riley.
Oh yeah, he's doing a phenomenal job.
I just I don't know if it was his game plan to have happened everything else that has happened. I think he just wanted to play ball games and do alumni games, but every year it has grown bigger and bigger, and we've been able to have a ceremony and say, you're on the field of honor, and so I'm glad that you valued that even more than, geez,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I agree. I think it would be an unbelievable honor to be one of the
Well, one thing probably
baseball
makes a
players.
difference. I think it took me 8 years to get onto the athletic one, and I
Yeah,
really had nothing to do with that.
sure.
It took me the first one to get with you guys.
Yeah.
So there's more camaraderie there,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I mean, it's amazing the stuff that Brummage did with that program,
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny too. To me, he's still Mr. Brummage and Mrs. Brummage.
Me too. Yeah.
I remember when I saw him, I said, I don't call him Bob, I call him Mr. Brummage.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's just, he was great. I mean, he just, but I didn't pitch at all. My sophomore year was weird in high school because, I was a sophomore. And I worked out with the varsity, but I started the year playing with the JVs. And I was playing every place, and I didn't pitch at all. I was playing every place. I played center field. I played second base. I
Wow.
caught. I was all over the place.
Yep.
And then I can remember one day in February. No, it wasn't February. I forget when it was, but it was early in the year. It was against Fitch.
Yep.
And we were at home. Well, I got a chance just to start at second base. So then I played there for the rest of the year, which was kind of neat. So I felt
Wow.
kind of good about that. And I don't know when exactly he started having me pitching. I guess at the beginning of the sophomore year or something. I don't
Sure.
know.
Yep.
But a couple of questions I know you asked me about those times.
Yep.
My first introduction to Mr. Bromwich. Well, first
Yes.
of all, I had him as a calculus teacher sometime in there,
Okay.
mathematics. But I actually played basketball in ninth grade at Kosciuszko.
Okay.
But I was backing up. Remember the guy Zimnicki?
Yes.
Something Zimnicki. He was a forward at Kosciuszko, and he was about 2 feet taller than everybody else, and could just score at will. And I was his backup. Great,
Yep.
huh? Yeah. But the following year, when I tried out for the senior year, I had just gotten the position at forward, at one of the forward positions. And I'm tired of this. So I stopped. And Brummage had certain guys working out,
Yep.
lifting some weights and playing no foul basketball.
Got it. Got it.
So I did that with him for, the winter and stuff. So that felt pretty good.
So that must have been a great way to kind of at least build a little connection and a relationship with him leading into the season, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He had a couple of other guys doing it.
Sure.
But it was funny, and even the no foul basketball was like he, he
What's
just
this?
smacked the heck out of people.
Sure. Jack, I wanted to I wanted to talk to you. I asked you if this was okay, and
Yes, it is.
you said that it was, and I think a lot of us that have gotten to know you through meeting you at the game
Yeah,
and
yeah,
talk to you, and now we're friends, and I've been your Facebook friend now for a handful of years. Um, I think the majority of our group know that you've lost a son, and
yeah.
I wanted to just ask you if there's any way you can describe going what that was like to go through. And I know this group and the guys that are going to watch this, many of us are dads, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I've already learned a lot from you without you even knowing that. Um, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. The, just by watching the word is grace, and your love and your compassion and the memory that you have kept your hands on his memory in a way that I think is really remarkable. And I know that you'd throw all that away to have him right next to you right now. But just talk a little bit about how you're doing now with it all, and what that was like. And is there anything that we can ever even learn from this, that you could share?
The biggest thing I could probably share is stay close to your kids, as close as you can. As close as you can. That's is an inherent problem with that in the first place. First of all, move to your left about 6 inches. I want to see something.
This way or this way?
No. See, when it said Dale Earnhardt, the thing
Yeah,
behind you,
this is.
I thought it was going to say Dale Road, 'cause that's where I grew up.
Oh man, no, that's a Dale Earnhardt Jr. sign.
Yeah.
By my mom and dad there a couple of years ago for Christmas. But yeah, I wouldn't have stole your road sign, even though I was a bit of a degenerate back in the day. I probably would have stole Broadleaf Lane. That's where I grew up. So
Where's that? Where's
yeah.
Broadleaf Lane? So here's the other thing. Are you a Thompsonville guy or a Hazardville guy?
Well, I was a Hazardville guy, but I grew up in the Thompsonville neighborhood. Right, that was
How'd
a
that
problem.
happen then?
My dad signed me up for Hazardville, and they might have gave him some lip, and he said, "I don't give a shit. I want my kid in Hazardville," and they were
No
happy.
kidding.
Yeah, once I started playing, I think they were happy to have me. And then as I got older, when I was 12, and I was a good ball player, there was there was a little bit of a stink made over the fact, what's Doobie playing Hazardville for?
Oh Jesus.
But I don't know. I didn't even pay attention to that. Just like whatever. I played Enfield Little League, but I really should have been a T-ville kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
That's
bad.
funny because I mean when I saw Powder Hollow, that's like, I mean there was nothing there before.
Yep.
There was a couple Little League fields, then that Senior League field was there, but it was just there was hardly anything there. What I mean? But back to my son.
Yes.
I would say stay as close to your kids as you can,
Okay.
as you can, because it's hard to just not know what they're doing. Then the older they get, probably the less you know what they're doing. Trying to think and plus Huntington, where I live, is like the epicenter for heroin.
Yep.
It's a difficult situation. It's so easy to get drugs around here.
Yep.
When we first moved here in 1987, I lived in a cul-de-sac with 2 kids, and it was debt-free rate, and it was great. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But starting in high school, stuff starts to change,
Yep.
and whether it's pot or whatever, and I think different people have different genes in them somehow that they're not able to stop something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to kid anybody that says I did all kinds of pot in Connecticut. So I mean, heck, it was all around you. It was not a big deal.
Sure.
And I knew when I could stop, and because I remember trying it one day the night before.
Yep.
and then had a baseball practice the next day, and it was awful. It was awful. I was just like in a big daze. So, but I would just stay as close to your kids as you can. You know, don't think they're alike. You know, my daughter is married. She's got 2 kids, and she's doing pretty good.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but the problem, and this isn't a big town. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This isn't as big as Hartford or something like that.
Right.
Or not. If you're in Florida, living there, or something like that, you don't have near as much activities thrown at you.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's not a lot of things to do either.
Yep.
So that's that boredom issue where they get bored and they've got to do something. So, and it's cheap. That's the other thing.
Yep.
I think heroin is like comes in like $15 a dose or something like that.
Sure.
So it's cheap.
Yep.
It's really cheap.
Yep.
So, you know, I'm fine with it. Now it's a while ago, and the hardest thing is, unfortunately, here when that happens to you, it's still all around you. You can't get away from it.
Yeah.
I mean, I read stuff every single day in the newspaper here.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get away from it. So actually, this coronavirus thing has been kind of you haven't heard anything about the heroin
Absolutely.
issue.
It's all you hear now. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I'd say just stay with him. You know what I mean? He played baseball and he played pretty well.
Yeah.
But he got see now too. It's like I think it's like it is in Clay. It's 9, 10, 11, 12 are all together.
Yep.
Well, he tried out for the 9-year the freshman team and he got cut, and that really kind of hurt him. They started playing in the summer though. He could play in the summer.
Yep.
But he got bored with that.
Right.
So, and you know, it's just stay close to him. That's the only thing I can say. It's just stay close to your kids and just hope like hell for the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Because there's so many extraneous factors going on.
Yep.
Really is. Yeah. But he's going on.
What have we left out here, you know, before we kind of wrap up? Is there anything else that we can say that we've left out?
Yeah, let me look at my notes because I wrote some of the stuff down that you had mentioned. Little League and that whole environment. Here's another thing which, I talked to. Well, do you remember? I'm sure you heard of John Blomstrom.
I have not.
You haven't?
No.
He's the winningest coach in high school soccer.
Wow.
And he was my best friend. And he lives almost across the street from me. But where I grew up in Southwood Acres, I grew up on Adams Road. There was so many kids then of the same age within, 3 or 4 years difference.
Yep.
There's always something to do.
Yeah.
I remember riding my bike, Mark Twain. Like it's his assisted living center now.
Yep.
But we'd just walk there, every single day. And that's where I went to school from 1st to 4th grade, I think.
Yep.
So there's always something to do, which was really, really neat. Now, where I live here, it's different. It's a little hilly and it's not as conducive to that. And there's not as many kids all together either.
Yes.
So there was, I lived on a street that had probably 10 houses on it. And there's literally probably 30 kids, maybe 10 times. So yeah, probably 30 kids on a little street like that.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
Yep.
I mean, Powder Hollow wasn't even that far. We used to get on about snow at we used to sled at Palo Hollow.
Heck yeah, yeah.
Which really was cool. Only a couple other mention a couple people though.
Yes.
Which is really I say John Ravinola has been texting back and forth.
Yep.
Well, he didn't know it, but I told him this. That okay, in the summers, everybody used to have all the parks.
Yep.
Every like school had a park for the summer, and was manned by usually 2 college students, 1 female, 1 male,
Yep.
because you'd have stuff, basketballs, crochet stuff. I mean, every kind of stuff for boys and girls to go down there.
Yep.
And I had different people at different places. So I can remember I had John Ravinola and Kathy Corkum.
Yep.
1 year they were the stuff. And Ravinola was kind of funny, but he taught me how to grip a curveball. And what's interesting, nobody grips it the way I grip it. Nobody. And nobody's made me change either.
Sure.
So I remember showing it to Brummage. He goes, "What the hell is that?"
Yep. So
And I
talk
got
about what was the grip, Jack?
Well, I don't have a baseball in front of me because I can't show you, but most people talk about on your seams. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to describe it.
Sure.
But nobody grips it the same way I
Yep.
did. I mean, it's just kind of, and to this day, of all the people I've known and talked to, still nobody grips it like that.
But it felt right. It felt comfortable to you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I give all the credit to Ravinola, which is kind of funny.
I think that's awesome. And that pitch was your claim to fame, really, really, right? You rode that pitch all the way up the ladder.
Yeah. I always, if I got in trouble, that's what I threw all the time. And I said, okay, here's the best I can throw. You can see if you can hit it. And nobody usually hit it.
Jack, did you find that the
one guy hit it was Barry Sullivan?
Okay.
He was a hitter from Providence, and I played with him the summer before. Played against him the summer before.
Okay.
With at the Cape Cod League, and so I knew a lot of left-handed hitters, they have an uppercut swing.
Yep.
And he just hit it a long ways off me.
Well, and that's what I wanted to say to you. You know, I this is just a theory. I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Hitters they typically don't want to hit a curveball. They're waiting for something else. They're waiting for really a fastball in their zone. And to me, if you can feature a curveball and you can feature it wherever you want to, hitters don't like that typically. You know, unless they're going to unless they know you're a curveball guy and they're going to wait for it. But most guys will not do that. They'll wait for your fastball, and sometimes it won't ever come.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's was really clever. Maybe it certainly worked in your favor to have it be your out pitch, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, if guys said, if you can hit this, see if you can hit it.
Yeah.
And nobody really hit it. So.
And I just don't want to, you know. And as a hitting coach with my players, I try to get across to them, guys. They let it go by, and I'm talking about a thigh high, not a good curveball. It's like a garbage curveball. Don't let that go by you because it's a curveball. It's a shitty pitch. You should hit that.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but it's just, I think it gets ingrained in a hitter's mind. I want to look dead red. I'm looking for that fastball, but sometimes the curveball could be a really good pitch to hit. Just don't let it, especially or something like that. Hit that. You know, don't let it go by you. So.
Well, that's funny. Paul Uricchio mentioned one of the comments that he can remember playing center field, watched me throw a no-hitter.
Yes, he did.
And it was when we were playing Legion baseball.
Okay.
It was an exhibition game. We were up in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Wow.
And we played this team. I don't know, there's another Legion team, you know, exhibition. Wasn't really, well, it kind of on a record, but this team couldn't hit a curveball. I mean, they literally, this is the truth. I struck out either 24 or 25 of the batters I faced. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
There was a couple errors or 1 or 2 on ground balls. I didn't walk anybody.
Yep.
And they just kept missing the pitches.
Yes, sir.
They just kept throwing them the same pitch.
Why not?
And they couldn't hit it. That's for the same thing on that one paper article against Fairfield.
Yep.
0.0. I didn't have great stuff at all, but I just kept throwing curveballs. And this one guy who really couldn't hit a curveball kept coming up at the same times when there were 2 or 3 guys on, and he just kept missing them.
Bang him out.
Yeah, so there's a lot of luck. But yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff. The other thing is Charlie Ragnow.
Yes.
Where I first met Charlie Ragnow, he was a camp counselor. You know, well, I call them camp counselors. They're park counselors.
Sure.
They just come out and gave you stuff to play. Well, I remember I was at he was at Mark Twain. That's where we had our play a couple times, and it sort of got into a rivalry of other parks and attacking other parks with like tomatoes and water balloons.
That's great.
But Charlie got us to go every place, as well as we play these other teams in baseball anyways, you know.
Yep.
These park teams, but we also kind of attacked them too a little bit.
That's awesome. What great memories. That's so cool. That's awesome.
But that was Charlie. And Charlie's but it was good to see him. You know, because that's another one. He's not that much older than I am.
Yep.
But there was in high school there's such a separation.
Yes.
You know, especially when it was then, because you just got 10, 11, and 12. You don't know, who knows now? Who knows even who a ninth grader is?
That's right.
You know, and when they came into high school as a sophomore, you know, who knows who they are as a sophomore?
Right.
So, and Charlie was done playing by then, or he was playing, I think, in the Tri-County League in Long Meadow and stuff, that area.
Yep.
But yeah, he was pretty funny. He was always a good guy though too. So it was good to see him. You know. Well, let me see what else I got there, because I did read it. Oh, yeah. I mean, talk about me not pitching. You know, I pitched in senior league, and one year in little league, but I was always a catcher. Because my dad gave me that. I mean, he was a catcher, and he said, be a catcher, because try to do that. Because first of all, a lot of people don't want to do it.
Right. And
the other thing is, you're always in the game.
Yep.
You're always in the game, other than waiting out there someplace. So that's why I did that initially. But I can remember. I can remember. So I remember. I tried out for the 7th grade team and got cut.
Yep.
The 8th grade team, I think I made. That was just okay.
Yep.
The 9th grade team I made, and was the most disorganized team I've ever met in my life. I don't think I ever pitched. I played first base. I played second base. Who knows? And yeah, I don't want to mention who the coach was, but it probably wouldn't be a good idea if he's still around. But he had no clue. So I kind of went into high school with having sort of a no clue idea. But I kept pitching. But that's why Little League and Senior League and that kind of stuff is so valuable.
Yep.
You know, you still get to do that. Legion, real quick. Legion was pretty interesting. I started playing Legion kind of early. And my dad was the coach with Bill Spanswick.
Yes.
And it was really neat playing for them too, because they really knew what baseball. It was old school baseball.
Yep.
You know, but some people on the team were a little bit weird with it.
Sure.
I think I mentioned a couple players' names before too. But anyways, Legion was pretty good. We had a good. That's one team. We had a really, really good Legion team. When after my freshman year in college, I played Legion, and yeah, we had a pretty good team. So we finished second in the state. So
wow.
Yeah, it was fun. But that's where Paul Uricchio, but he was in. Yeah. Let's see, what else? What else can you think of, Mark?
Just the only thing is the thing I keep going back to is your favorite time to play. You know, you talked about, you know, like for me, if I had to lay it all out, because you and I talked about summer ball. You know, you said, dudes, we got to talk about summer ball. And I got to say, I played summer ball. You know, I played Legion just like you. I played
Yep.
Twilight a few seasons in the
Oh
American
yeah.
Twilight.
Yeah.
And I got to say, those were my favorite times. For some reason, I could let my hair down, if you know what I mean. I could
Yep.
relax.
Yep.
There was less at stake. And I just seemed to be, I could play free. And whenever I played free and whenever I played with joy, I played a lot better. But when I put pressure on myself, and that's how I
Really?
felt playing collegiately, I just didn't want to fail. I didn't want to come back home and say
Yeah.
I wasn't playing great or I wasn't starting every game. I wasn't batting third. I couldn't deal with the idea of that and telling people that I
Where'd
wasn't.
you go to college?
I went to Central Connecticut State University. So there was Northeast Division One. We played all the Northeast Division One.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Traveled south. We had Troy State in our division, and
You ever meet a guy named two guys, John Iovino or Dan Smith?
no,
Okay, they played there. One was a pitcher, one was a catcher, but I played with them at the Cape Cod League too.
okay, they may
So I
have
was
been
just wondering.
a little bit prior to my era. I played there in the
Oh
mid
yeah, yeah, yeah.
90s. And I had a great experience, and I had some great moments there, for sure. But I just remember, when you said when you got to the big leagues or the minor leagues, that it wasn't always fun, and I felt that it was a job, it was, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like it is what it is. But I had to manage that pressure better than I think I did. A lot of
No
it was just,
kidding.
it was just internal pressure, and the coaches. The coaches were psycho. I mean, it was just like.
Yeah, I know.
And it, what was different to me? It was the threat that if I didn't get a hit at any given at bat, there was another guy that was going to be placed in the lineup,
Wow.
and it did happen. Uh, I feel like if they let me play 5 days in a row,
Yeah.
I would have taken care of it. But that wasn't you didn't have that luxury. The entire
Really?
roster was full of all-state players and people who were being scouted and people who were already drafted. So there's
Yeah.
no, well, all right, we're going to let you play through that slump, Dukes. No. You went 0 for 3 with a walk. We're bringing the freshman in, So that was hard. That's what it felt hard to me. But
That is, that's the kind of pressure I had in the minors.
yep,
Although I always felt though my most comfortable place was on the mound.
yep,
I just felt comfortable there. I just felt comfortable there. Any place else, whether it was in a bullpen, the dugout, I was like, this sucks. And I just felt comfortable pitching. But I'd say probably the most fun, yeah, it was Brummage's teams. You can't,
right,
I mean,
yep,
he's obviously loosened up over the years because
sure,
people thought he loosened up over my years,
yep,
But he always instilled a lot of confidence in you.
yep.
I felt like that.
Me too.
I never in college. I had probably one of the strictest coaches I've ever had. This guy named Larry Pansiera. I mean, he was nuts. But his assistant coach was a guy named Larry Baylock, and he kind of he had one tough guy and one other guy.
Yep.
So it really worked out pretty good like that.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's hard to say which one. Oh, yeah, it's really hard to say. They're all comfortable.
I think that's
except,
fine.
Except probably the most competitive was in the minors.
Yes. Yep. Cutthroat.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. And I was one of those guys that was cutthroat the same way. We'd be sitting in the bullpen, and we go, man, I hope he gets racked. You're talking about the pitcher.
Right. But it's kill or be killed, and that's my job, and that's I can understand that psychology for sure.
Yeah. But there's no allegiance to anybody.
Right.
There's no not a lot of camaraderie.
Yep.
Because everybody was there to do own thing and to get to the majors.
Right.
You know, and they said, and that was different. That was different than college ball because college players, they'll take walks.
Right.
Guys will just walk. You know, guys in the minors and even in the majors, even worse. They'll swing at anything because they used to say, you know, can't get to the majors walking. You can't walk your way to the majors.
Got it.
You're not gonna get there. But that was fun too. So those are probably the Brummage's years. I mean, yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, it was fun except for the game, except after the practice after the Weaver game. That's one of those things like
story, Jack.
you never forget. We had a good year for the rest of the year, but still, we kind of learned our lesson. He made us think. We
Sure.
never went into the game complacent anymore.
After that, that's
You know.
corrected.
And we played good teams. We could never get by New Britain, it seemed like. New Britain always had really good teams.
Yep.
And they had this one pitcher, I can't remember his name, that him and I were both all conference and stuff, but I always thought he was better. But anyways.
Well, Jack, listen, I want to say thank you for everything. And I hope that this pandemic and all of this can clear away and we can get back to getting together. And I know you're in West Virginia, but it'd be great to have you back anytime that you can make it up to the game and to get togethers and to hang out and play golf or whatever, or just have a beer. And but you mean so much to this group and all of your achievements. And I mean, you're one of the guys that made it. You made it up to the promised land. I mean, I know that the big leagues is, but to be signed and to play in the minors and to have the achievements that you've had, and to have Brummage call your name, you know, if I got to get somebody out, who am I giving the ball to? And it's Jack Taylor. So I just want to say,
yeah, that was honest to God, Mark. That was the best thing anybody's ever said. The thing I've respected the most. You know, it just was.
Awesome.
You know? And he always said, you know, make the guys hit the ball too. That always. But the other biggest quote he always told me, he said, just realize they've got the hitter. They've got a lot more pressure than you do.
Yep.
So
I mean,
I can remember throwing. We were up at Amherst one day in a doubleheader against my senior year, a doubleheader against Massachusetts. So Tom Germano, who played with me, he was also, I forget how many pitchers they took for All New England, but it was me, so the guy Bert Roberge, Tom, but we I mean he was a good guy and he was just great, you know. I forgot what I was going to say.
But you made All New England. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's so cool. That's a huge, you know, to be named to that is.
Oh yeah. Oh, but the other thing was, maybe I'll remember the thing about Germano, but because he was a great pitcher.
Yep.
But I just felt whenever I got on the mound, I was comfortable, and somebody's going to have to show that they can hit, unless I had crummy stuff.
Sure.
But other thing, you used to fall into place. The only game Baylock saw me play, we played Amity or somebody down in Middletown, and I threw a one-hitter. So
the rest is history.
It's just timing.
Yep.
You know, it's just timing.
And it worked out. It worked out well.
Yeah. Great. Now, again, there was something else I wanted to mention. Let me see this for a minute, Mark.
Go ahead.
Wasn't high school experience. I can't give enough credit to. I don't think I met him at that thing. Was Bill Coop's nephew or grandson or something?
Yep.
But I remember hearing he passed away, and but he was a huge influence on me.
Yep. And
you know, he wasn't a technical great coach.
Yep.
He just knew people.
Yep.
You know, he just knew kids. You know,
Well, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that comment right there. You don't always have to know it all, but if you know people and you care about them, boy, does that ever go a long way. That's a great comment, great memory about him.
Yeah, it would. Oh, I know the other thing was too. I did play the Tri-County League too. Not Tri-County, no, Enfield Twilight League.
Yep,
The
Twilight.
Twilight League, yeah. And that was, oh, wait a minute, let's go back to this point. That was the most relaxing
Yes,
summer ever
I can see that.
because I played for Moriarty Brothers.
Yes, yep.
They still there?
Yeah, they
And
changed the name of the team, but I know that team and that franchise is still going. Yeah, it's one of the few
but
left.
they were great, and the manager was a guy named Gene Johnson who worked at Moriarty Brothers, and he's probably 50 years old when we played. But he just was a DH, and he could still swing the bat and hit line drives, you know. The other guy was a guy with the catcher was a guy Mike something. I think he went to Southern Connecticut, maybe I forget where, Hartford.
Was that a team
Um,
that played out of Manchester?
yeah,
Yeah, yep. That guy coached. When I came up through the Twilight League in the 90s and
yeah.
early 2000s, he was still the manager of that team.
I bet he was.
He still ran that team, and he was a hell of a baseball guy. And he had a pitcher. God, I'm not going to remember his name, but he's the all-time leader in wins. I mean, maybe it's a dubious stat because he played in the Twilight League for like 30 years.
Could go Roger Bidwell.
Yes, it was Bidwell, and he
That's
was crafty SOB. He didn't throw hard. He'd be like, this guy's throwing.
kind of sidearm, right?
Yep, he'd throw knuckleballs. He spotted everything.
Yep.
A pain in the ass. He was a hell of a pitcher.
Well, here's what happened that was the year after my senior year. Wait a minute. No, after. I forget. Anyways, so I started playing for them.
Okay.
Next to a no header against Central Savings Bank, something like that. And I can remember, and I had no hitter, but I only won 5-4. I mean, I walk-ons, got the errors. It was just, and I still remember I had the last game was the bases loaded, last game, last inning, and it was 3-2 on this guy. And I threw him a curveball, and he took it for a strike.
Yep, of course, who wants to hit that?
I can still remember that. But that year was really kind of funny because we started off kind of slow, but then we got better, and we were going into the playoffs.
Yep.
And I couldn't go because I got married.
Yep.
Twilight
ball. Life happens. Yep.
I couldn't go, and that's why Roger started pitching more, because it would have been me if we stayed there.
Sure.
But that's what Roger. And I remember reading the papers. I was up in New York or something, reading the papers that he pitched really, really well, and they hit the ball well, and they won it.
Yep. Won it anyway. Yeah, he won like 200 games.
Did he really?
Yeah, over 200 games. So like we were talking about Freddie, winning 38 games out of high school, which is crazy. But this guy, no one's ever going to even pitch in 200 games. Never mind win 200 games. It's just it's an astounding record. And he was a hell of a pitcher. He pitched forever. So, but Jack, thank you. We could talk for so much longer.
I know.
It's great. I love it, and I'm so glad that we were able to catch up with you and that you're doing well. And I look forward to the day that we can hang out again and have you back. But thanks for everything. Really appreciate it.
Well, Mark, thanks to you guys too, and thanks to everything you guys and Brian and stuff, and just, I mean, it's good that you're just publicizing more Enfield baseball.
That's it.
And that's great. That's great. So I appreciate it, Mark.
Got it, Jack. Thank you.
You take care.
We'll catch up down the road real soon.
All right, see you, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't even know how you turn this off.
I know, right? It's so hard.
I know.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Take
See
care,
you,
buddy.
man.